At Death by Caffeine, Carla and Tina have just walked into the restaurant to see Drexel Wood, who just happened to be an actual employee at Death by Caffeine. He's fixing coffee for various customers, in which he had just exchanged a coffee into a mocha. Carla talks to Drexel as Drexel hands her favorite mocha, peppermint mocha. Tina had also taken her favorite drink, and the two ladies sit at a table adjacent to a window. Carla and Tina talk about the situation at hand and talk about how the males could have been their actual dates back in high school if only they had pulled together their own wits. Back outside Death by Caffeine, Jacob and Trailer are having a discussion back and forth. Jacob asks if Trailer is okay. Trailer says no, and Jacob says, "I'm not either." Dennis Fields walks up to them with his hands in his back, slightly in his back pocket, specifically his fingers, and said, here it goes to a new future." Trailer frowns, smiles a little bit, while Jacob laughs. Dennis jealously nods his head left and right, and then says, "You don't get it," and walks forward past them. At this point, the three males had pretty much had their ordeal with death, and once again, this time, Dennis realized he had hinted at his own death. Has a flashback to the house explosion moments ago. Jacob, who is filing his nails, stops in his tracks, drops the nail file to his side. Trailer, who was standing right next to Dayton, decides to look forward in a confusing way and shrugs revolving the whole entire situation and says, "I could have sworn this was something else different than what I thought it was." Carla and Tina exit Death from Caffeine and walk toward Dayton and Trailer. Dayton who talks to Carla involving the situation, and Trailer realizes that he saw Alvin at the site of the nuclear explosion before it happened, before Dayton had his premonition. The two females look at each other, seeming confused in a blank mode. Dayton announces that Trailer's ambitions could be wrong or could be correct. However, Trailer seems to be optimistic even more about the situation and says something doesn't feel right involving that statistic design. Dayton doesn't even seem, who normally would seem annoyed by a statement like that, puts his nail file in his back pocket and tells Carla and Tina that they'll catch up with them. Carla and Tina walk down the road toward the shopping mall in which Kareem Green had recently shopped at before. The two males have a brief conversation and decide to walk after Dennis when they figure out another statistic rule that they were told. Dayton and Trailer run next to each other, realizing that the one rule revolving a variable and a trauma could actually persist within one of the survivors.